Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I'm making for you yo as part of their custom monthly music review. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen. This is from an act named NONA REEVES titled Sweet Survivor. So we're going to listen through this track from start till finish and we're going to hear what we think. It should also be noted that we have lyrics to look through at the end kindly provided by you yo. So let's go. Funky filtered bassline, eh? Great start to proceedings. Loving the portamento on those lead synths. Such fun times. It's such a chill theme. With the keys, the synths, the clean guitars there. Or not the clean like as in we've got acoustics, but the steel string parts. Funky bass line, the drums swinging along with some really nice finesse. It's oh. Nice. Hey, Michael Jackson, right? And it's just the strength of a theme that you know you can leave it without needing to have the listener handheld by storytelling. I think that it's really compelling. It's good so far. It's just a really funky, upbeat, fresh track, you know? It's genuinely charming. Okay, ready to rip on that, okay. What I like is that the video is inferring that she saw the funkiness of the original dancer and now the girl has incorporated it into her own moveset. I think that's tight. The color grading in this music video is gorgeous. I love the softness and the tone of it. It's great to see people having fun, you know? I've noticed we haven't had any other lead elements apart from the vocals and a few sort of like call and response lead synths. Oh, development. charming, really positive. No, I'm really impressed with that. I think that was a great track. I'm gonna look through the lyrics in a moment, but I think this was just it was really cheery, happy, just it had great vibes, didn't it? So we have the lyrics here for this track, Sweet Survivor. I got the lyrics that Yo provided, and I translated all of them via DeepL into as good or English as DeepL is going to provide for the translation quality. You know, traveling 7 colored neon lights, gazed upon with fatigue and exhaustion. I suppose rainbow lights? The city of Tokyo, the sinking Titanic. Life isn't always heavy, but it's also manageable and empty. On those nights where I'm so miserable I can't help it, you're the only thing that keeps me going. Midnight fever, gather the light and dance for the love you've lost. Even though so parted in the tears and the days, sometimes we'll see each other again. So this track so far discussing kind of how you live in hope for the situations where even if life can be difficult on like a semi-regular basis, you try and appreciate those that are close to you or close near to your heart, and hope that you'll come back together one day and be able to celebrate that. I'll hold on to the little funny memories if I mix my life with you. Whatever the future holds, I can enjoy it. Everybody move your body tonight. Even if I die before you, for example, feel like a father, I'll watch over your happy portrait forever. Oh, okay. Okay, I think I get it. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Nona Reeves titled Sweet Survivor. Now I spoke about what I thought the track was in the lyrics section, but effectively my take on it, just to iterate, is that it's about someone who is trying to make the most out of everyday life, trying to appreciate the memories they have with people, celebrating the fact that they loved it all, appreciating the fact that they exist, and even with the pain that is caused occasionally, and even with life being unmanageable and empty and stuff like that, there's still people that make it worth it, and it's worth kind of doing the best you can to show gratitude and enjoy it. Is that the kind of take I'm getting from this? Hopefully that makes sense. That's what I got from the story anyways. I think that's a really beautiful thing to write a story about. I think a lot of people will be able to relate to and celebrate that. I think there's just so much stuff happening in the world at the moment that it can become a bit overwhelming for a lot of people, and it can just become way too easy to get caught up in all of it. So it can be good to be reminded that there are, just being grateful for the people near you who you do have. It can be important to be reminded of that and to appreciate it. So I'm glad that this song exists, if for no other reason than that people can celebrate those relationships and existences. I think the vocals were done well. We were consistent with an octave or an octave and a half, and that was our comfortable vocal range and kind of a high head to chest voice in the higher ranges. And I think that the falsetto, not the falsetto, but the head voice worked well across to have presence over a lot of the different elements in the mix, from the guitars on the sides to the bass, the drums, the keys, and the synths and everything like that. And there are a lot of really cool sounds and tones and textures within it. It was a very complicated arrangement. What the vocalists did well is they managed to navigate a lot of the complex harmonies that we have with some of those extensions there, the unpredictable chord and bass line patterns, and we found niches within the scale shapes and modes that allowed us to still sound really fragrant without there being any harsh or dissonant textures. And that takes skill and finesse, but we nailed that with the pipes. I think that we performed with a sense of charisma throughout the singing parts, and I think that it mirrored the kind of joy that we were wanting to express, the cool, calm, and collected joy that we were trying to express throughout those hook sections. And I think that the elaboration in the verses was well met with a more kind of measured tone, but nonetheless still enjoyable. The vocals were the focal point for a lot of this track, but I think that we pulled it off really well. It was a very comfortable, believable performance, and with the vocals matching well to the story that was being told there, I think that we just had the rest of the track to discuss. So for me, what I enjoyed about the track is that while it was just outside of that 2 to 4 minute sweet spot, I think that it was filled with a lot of really interesting elements there. We had, verses, and do we have bridges? We definitely had verses and choruses. We had several distinct sections throughout, as well as an interlude section, and that was awesome. They flew really elegantly between each other. There was a sense of grace and sophistication throughout. I think that we did a masterful job of blending all the different ingredients within this arrangement together in a way that was very sonically satisfying. The best thing for me about this track outside of the vocals was the synth. I think that the synth line was just absolutely charming, and there were lots of different synth notes that articulated and emphasized both certain parts of the triads, the major and minor triads. Some of them also did really well with just simply lifting the track up or adding bits of glittery sparkle to it, and they danced around some of the more unconventional changes with the harmonies as well. I think that we knew exactly what kind of tones and colors we wanted and which textures and timbres we wanted, and we knew exactly where to place those in a way that was meaningful, that would either simmer within the rest of it or stand out as something like a shining little bit to appreciate before we go and change it again. And really, I don't think you can ask much more from that. I mean, the bass line that we had was tremendous. We had a bit of filtering with the funk bass slap at the start going between the octaves, but the bass, when it came in full bore, it supported the rest of the arrangement incredibly well. It had its own identity, like you could hear the individual notes within it because of how well it was mixed. But in addition to that, it had a certain kind of freshness as well, where it wasn't too sort of sub-heavy. So it sounded like it was trying to sort of connect and join together with the rest of the elements without sticking out too much like a sore thumb, and I enjoy that. I think that's good. I also want to give a shout out to how unpredictable some of the endings for the sections were. Like, I was just having another listen back over it, and would have like the line finish, and then would have da 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 boom, and just there was these really satisfying little flickers of creativity that occurred there, not only with the synths but other instruments as well. Though to be fair, it was more noticeable with the synths because usually they had a new sound there to fill in that bit, as if to say, look, new thing, listen to this, enjoy it, vibe with it. But I've got to give a shout out to the guitar parts. I kind of enjoy how we did two things really well with the stick strings. We didn't overly articulate what was going on with the lead parts with the guitar. We stuck to doing bar chords and the like with the rhythm, and I think that was a smart move because there was just so much stuff going on with the synth pads and the sequences and the leads and stuff like that. I think it just would have been too overwhelming and full. It's great that the band understood that there are strengths and positions where things maybe don't suit as much, and they niched those kind of cleans, those strummed electric parts to on the sides, like, you know, the funkiest stuff out there, and it's just dope. It works really well. It was an incredible tone to the guitars as well. They were kind of subtle, almost more like a rhythmical device, which helped with the percussion and bass. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed the bass, the drums as well, should I say. I think that there were some excellent drum grooves in there. Clearly a competent player who didn't drop the tempo once, and there was not a beat out of place. It's simply that the guitars, the bass, and the pianos, they stuck out to me the most. I will give a shout out to the use of like the cowbell in the interlude though. I just had a double check of that. There was some really interesting cowbell elements in that interlude on the percussion. I thought it was a fun, like a callback to like the disco fever and stuff like that we had in like the 70s and 80s. I think that was a fun thing to bring back and be sort of a sense of nostalgia for a time where I didn't exist, but it's nonetheless appreciated. So yeah, there was lots of fun things happening with all of the different instruments within the mix. I think that finally, the theme itself, with everything coming together, with the interesting extensions, the funky discotheque kind of chord progressions and stuff like that, the story and tale about dancing and enjoying life and celebrating and stuff like that, they all came together really well. It was a song about getting up and moving and grooving and just enjoying the moment and trying to sort of savor life as is and the opportunities and fortunes that you have, however big or small or whatever they are. I think that's a really positive theme to put in a song. I think it's a really positive experience for the listener, and I'm really glad that they made this song, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to listen to it. If there was anything I was going to say before we moved on, is that I don't think there was like a definitive lead element or a solo in this track, and usually there is for a song this length. I mean, like, there were different synths which kind of had specs and picks at it, but like we didn't have like a specified solo section. And I kind of enjoy that. You could argue that maybe the drums had a bit of a solo section there with the use of the cowbell and stuff like that, but there were vocal chants over top of it and stuff like that. It was like they managed to blend the best parts of a single with the best parts of just like a track that has a bit of instrumental exploration, and we had the best of both worlds. Finally, the studio recording, mixing and mastering was done well. I liked the tone of the vocals, the guitar, bass, drums, keys and synths and all those elements. They were really nicely niched in the frequency spectrum. Things were nice and wide in the stereo field. You could hear everything nice and clearly. The leveling was solid. There were no resonant frequencies, so nothing weird was poking out there. It was commercial grade. The things were stacked nice as well, so they didn't interfere with each other. There was dynamic range to this. Things weren't the same loudness all the time, and it didn't sound like it was being choked or suffocated on the master chain, but it was still nice and loud, so limiting and bus compression were handled well. And it sounded like a reasonably raw vocal performance, which I appreciate, because it just clearly shows that they can sing. And I think that if you put too much vocal processing for the pipes here, I just think it would have been a bit too much and a little bit kind of weird. So they chose the right step here. But effectively, this is my review of a track from an act named Nona Reeves titled Sweet Survivor, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show us some love via the various social medias and a YouTube page. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next SC Patrons video. Spiderhands out.